Welcome to Fantasy and Enchantment, where I describe fantasy books to my husband and see if he's enchanted. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Justin.
This week we are doing the second book in the Folk of the Air trilogy, which is The Wicked King.
Wait a minute. Did we do the first one already?
Yes, we did.
I don't remember it.
It was The Crow Prince.
Okay. I guess I just didn't realize. It looks different.
Okay.
Also, preface this.
Do we need to do the content warning first before whatever you're going to do?
You probably should.
Okay. Content warnings. We will swear a lot, adult language stuff. Also, spoilers for the book and the series. Go ahead.
I've been a little stuffed up and under the weather, so I might sound a little bit off. I don't know if it's the plague or the COVID or what it is, but little stuffy, a little raspy in the throat. Might be the COVID. Did you know that the new COVID strain is called the 311 strain?
No?
That's what they're calling it. It's got to be the worst one by far because 311 is one of the worst bands ever.
Oh my god.
I'd rather listen to 9/11 than 311.
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
Let's get started.
I'm gonna assume that you need a recap since you didn't even remember that we talked about the first one.
I do vaguely remember. I remember very much not caring for the last one. But I will say, I saw this book sitting on our counter weeks ago when you first got it. And I saw the title is The Wicked King, and immediately I knew this was going to be a real fun podcast for me, because I was like, oh, The Wicked King, huh? It's just going to be all Boston the whole time.
Oh, God.
It's wicked awesome.
Oh,
Get the
God.
lobster.
Stop it.
So I just assume everyone is Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and racist. Because if you ever see somebody with a Boston Bruins tattoo, or if they're wearing a Red Sox hat, just know you're about 2 minutes away from a racial slur at any given time, because those people are horrible.
Okay.
Did you know in 1919, there was a flood in Boston, and it was a flood of syrup?
The molasses thing?
21 people died. 21 stupid Bostonians died. God, can we just get more syrup and get rid of some more of those people?
Are you done yet?
Boston.
Oh
The
my
Wicked
God.
King. Wicked awesome, eh?
Oh my god.
Strap in, kids. It's going to be a fun one. For me, mostly.
We'll do the recap, and then we'll do the description and the book cover.
Okay.
Are
I've
you-
seen all I need to of the cover.
Too bad. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
So the last one, Jude, she has a twin sister, Taryn,
Yeah.
and an older sister who's half fae, half human. She grew up with the fae because
Yes.
her parents were murdered.
I do vaguely remember because I just edited this episode a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I also didn't talk much in the episode.
No.
I was really burned out. You also told me that you really liked that book and you didn't want me to make fun of it too
Well,
much. So I think I was
I
trying.
didn't expect you to actually not make fun of it.
I was
though.
trying to
I'm
just
aware of how
take
this
it
works.
in, and by the time it got to the end, I was like, I don't get it. I didn't like anything about it.
Yes, we have learned that Justin is not a fan of an enemies to lovers story, which is a shame because that's my favorite.
I don't get it because
Okay.
I'm an enemies are my enemies
Yet
until they're dead.
That is usually how it works in the real world, but in fantasy books, enemies to lovers is a pretty common trope
That's
that I really like.
that's one that I can't relate to that.
Most normal people can't. The point isn't that you relate to it, the point is that it's exciting.
How is it exciting?
I'm not going to get into it right now.
I don't get it at all.
Okay. Anyway,
You hate
Jude,
somebody so much you want to fuck them?
basically.
I don't get that. I hate a lot of people. I don't want to fuck any of them.
Okay. Jude, as a twin sister, there was
That's probably not true. There's probably somebody out there.
Okay.
But I hate a lot of people.
You do. Can we move on?
I guess so.
Jude has a twin sister and an older sister. The guy who was bullying her, Cardin, who was the prince.
Who is, I assume now, played by Ben Affleck. I had no idea they were all from Boston in the first book. I would have been way more interested in the whole story.
Oh my god. Anyway, she tricked Cardin into becoming king at the end of the last book, partly to protect her, foster brother, they're not actually related, Og,
Yeah.
and also to get some power for herself because all she wants is to be accepted and respected in Fairy.
And Dunkin' Donuts, I assume. Because, like, Boston, Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
Can Can you believe Dunkin' Donuts has the fucking nerve to try to call themselves just Dunkin' now? I'm not doing that. Off is the direction in which you can fuck Dunkin', because there is no goddamn way I'm just gonna call you Dunkin'. You're Dunkin' goddamn Donuts.
Okay. Can we go back to the book?
All right. If that's what we're here for, I guess.
Yes, we are.
Hey, you know what? I was a little light on the last episode. I'm going hard in the paint tonight.
So we'll be here for 3 hours.
We're going to be here for a hot minute, but it's going to be fun.
Great. Okay. Ready for the description.
Yeah.
Jude has bound the wicked king, Cardan, to her and made herself the power behind the throne. Navigating the constantly shifting political alliances of Fairy would be difficult enough if Cardan were biddable, but he does everything in his power to humiliate and undermine her. When it becomes all too clear that someone close to Jude means to betray her, Jude must uncover the traitor and fight her own complicated feelings for Cardan to maintain control as a mortal in a fairy world.
Okay, so there's going to be more of her with a little twitch in her nethers for this guy.
Yes,
I don't need any of that.
it's happening.
It also feels very Game of Thrones-y, this one. Like wielding power.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that during the last one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like political intrigue in the series as a whole. So.
Okay. I think we're getting enough of politics in this country as it stands right now. I think we need to be reading about it. So the cover, it's just a crown in the water.
Yeah.
Is it syrup? Is
It's
it a
not
crown
syrup.
in the syrup?
God damn it, Justin.
Stupid Bostonians. Drowning in syrup. There were also like 200 people injured. How do you get hurt? It's like the slowest moving thing on the planet. How do you get trapped in syrup and die? 21 stupid Bostonians. And then get hurt on top of it.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well, I hope not. It was 1919.
Well,
You're not a vampire or a fairy or whatever other weird shit we're reading about.
mostly the fairies right now.
Mostly the fairies right now.
Fairies are very popular.
I know, you read a lot of fairy books. When are we getting to that one with the monsters fucking? Because you just read a
Yeah,
monster sex
I just
book.
read my first monster romance, and that was
Something with like double dicks and stuff. I don't know what was
no.
going on.
Then there were not two penises. Thank God.
Do you know snakes have two penises?
I feel like I've heard that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
snakes are double dicked.
Anyway, let's talk about this
Ducks
one.
have a corkscrew penis. Too.
Yes, I've heard that before. Are we just talking about animal penises now?
I mean, I could spend some time talking to you about animal penises.
I would rather not. Let's talk about the fucking book, Justin.
All right.
So it opens on a prologue. So this is all before.
The story
Cardan
before the
has-
story.
Yeah,
It's
this-
an appetizer.
Yes, before Cardan has been crowned.
Oh. So it's taking you back in time.
Yeah,
They jump in a DeLorean.
sure.
Or a phone booth. I think Bill and Ted is better than the Back to the Future movies.
Okay, I know how you feel about Bill and Ted.
Back to the Future 3 is not bad, but Bill and Ted's just solid all the way around.
Okay.
All right.
Jude is practicing sword fighting. Maddox is teaching Taryn and her. He tells Jude that her and Taryn are going to spar against him. Maddox talks a lot about power and says you have to get power by taking it. So it tells him to climb to the top of a hill, and they have to keep him from taking the hill. And he knocks them all out pretty fast.
Well, he's a big motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
We determined in the last one he's the Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. And he says,
Not Hulk Hogan, which would be way better.
Okay.
Oh, brother.
Okay. You can take a thing when no one's looking, but defending it, even with all the advantage on your side, is no easy task. So the whole point of the prologue is to just illustrate that Jude knows that taking power is the easy part, holding on to it is not.
Right.
And then we start the story officially. Cardan is sitting on his throne, and he's kind of infamous at this point for, like, wearing his crown sideways and, like, just laying on the throne all the time and having a drink in his hand.
He's got a real, like gangster lean vibe to him. He's got
Yeah.
his hat on crooked and
Yeah.
he's doing the big slouch. Got the seat leaned all the way back. And
Yeah.
bumping some hip hop real loud. He's got subwoofers in the throne.
He might, yeah.
Sounds right.
That kind of vibe for
He's
sure.
wearing a chain with like a spinner on it.
I'm gonna picture that for a while.
Does
actually.
he put spinners on the throne too?
No.
They still spinning.
The throne is like a big tree kind of thing.
Oh well, that's pretty lame.
Well, because it's like nature stuff.
Stupid.
Okay. Jude is standing next to him. She is now seneschal, which is just like,
A made up word.
Well, it is a Celtic word. I looked it up.
Oh,
Ow.
the Irish. Boston.
I'm Irish.
Boston.
Shut up.
Boston trash.
Anyway,
Irish.
She's-
Potatoes.
okay. She's the king's assistant.
Okay. She's a secretary.
No, actually, she does have some actual authority.
She's the hand of the king.
Basically,
Game
yeah.
of Thrones.
Yeah, okay.
I
She's
can't-
the hand of the king.
I can't assume anyone is reading these books and listening to this podcast and they have not watched Game of Thrones.
Okay.
I just assume those things all go together.
Anyway, she's waiting for a spy to come give her a report because Belkin, who's Cardan's older brother who wanted to get the crown and then that didn't work out.
He was a
well.
real cunt too, right?
Yeah, he killed basically his whole family except for Cardan.
Yeah.
Um,
Why'd they keep him around?
well,
It seems like
Cardan
an
says
off
that he's not a murderer.
it seems like an off with his head kind of situation.
I mean, it should have been. We'll get there. But, it's still Cardan's brother. So basically, they put him in what they call the Tower of Forgetting, which is
Okay.
because you put people there to forget about them.
Yeah, as you would with a tower. Although
Yes.
I would probably go for a dungeon as opposed to a tower.
Well,
Why put them way up in the air when you can put them under the ground?
I mean, Tower's a tower. Nobody's talking to him.
All right.
Except they found that Belkin was trying to send letters. So that's why she's waiting for this spy to see if they can.
You wouldn't be sending
Catch one of
letters
his
if you
letters.
were in a dungeon. You
He
done
might
fucked
still.
up.
He might still send letters in a dungeon. It has been 5 months since the coronation.
Okay.
And she's worried that Cardan is starting to like being the king.
Well, as one would, I'd assume. You give me 5 months as a king, chances are I'm gonna be like, yes, shit ain't so bad.
And then he asks if she's enjoying herself. And he says, look at them all, your subjects. A shame, not a one knows who their true ruler is. Because remember, she made that deal with Cardan that he has to obey her for a year and a day.
Right. So her time's running out too.
Yes. And that's a constant theme throughout the book, is she's thinking about, like, the clock's running out here.
Right.
There's going to be a revel happening, which is just a big drunken fairy party.
Jesus Christ. Boston.
Yeah. Okay. Jude sees Taryn and Locke in the crowd. Taryn, her twin sister, who is marrying Locke, who was
you-
trying
she
to fuck with both of them.
Yeah, she was kind of trying to get on that for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their wedding is in 3 weeks,
They move quick.
and Jude refuses to apologize first because Taryn is the one who, like, knew this was happening. Jude had no idea.
Right.
A fairy comes and kneels in front of the throne. He says his name is Grimson. He made the crown that Cardan's wearing. He's a metal worker,
Okay.
but
So
a fairy one, so a magic metal worker.
magic crown maker. And it's like a cursed crown too. So did he put the curse on it?
Damn it, Justin.
What?
Yes, there's a curse on the crown. We'll get to it in the 3rd book.
No, it's in the first book. They talked about it because if anybody else put it on, it kills them.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We already done talked about it. You act like I read the fucking book and I'm ruining it. You
I
told
thought
me
you were
this in the
just
first
guessing, and you just happened to get it right. I don't fucking know.
one. Yeah, you put it in the first one. So did this guy do that?
Yes, he
Okay.
makes objects, not just crowns. He makes, like, swords and other stuff. He's a metal worker in general.
Okay.
You find out later, everything that he makes, he also curses.
Okay. So he's a trickster, this guy.
Yes. He asks to come back to the High Court. Cardan accepts and says he can have a building on the edge of the palace to make things, but Jude is really suspicious of his motives and why he's come back in the first place.
Where did he go? Why was he gone?
He was exiled with, I think it was the Court of Teeth, maybe the Court of Termites. He was exiled. That's the important
So he
thing.
was bad news.
He got in some trouble.
As our daughter would say, he was bad trouble.
He was bad trouble.
Put him in the corner.
Yeah. A hag then comes up to the throne and says her name is Mother Marrow. She brought them gifts. And
I don't think I want a gift from a hag.
Probably not, no.
Seems like a shitty gift.
Nope. But it is a cloak that turns away blades.
It's a jar of teeth. It's
Yeah, that would be on point.
yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's a cloak and it turns away blades.
Okay. So it's a bulletproof vest,
Yes.
which you would need in Boston.
Okay. Oh my god. Anyway, it was woven by her and her daughter. And she tries to get an oath from Cardan in exchange for the cloak, but Jude steps in. She says, "You said gifts, but you have only shown us your marvelous cloth. I'm sure the crown would be pleased to have it were it freely given. So, like, we're not going to exchange things. You're just going to give it to us."
That's true. You don't give a gift expecting something in return.
Yeah.
So that's fair.
Mother Mary agrees to only give the cloak, but then Carden asks to know what the rest of the plan was. He's like, oh, I like it when people try to trick me. Tell me what you were going to do.
Give me your wares, wench.
She says she put a geas, so like a magic spell, on the cloak, so Carden could only marry her or her daughter.
How old is the hag?
I mean, they're all fairies, so who the fuck knows?
You say hag, and I just imagine like some dirty woman with long, scraggly hair and old,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
nasty.
Yeah.
That's what I picture. So I would imagine this 16-year-old, 17-year-old king doesn't want to bog himself down with some old hag.
Probably not.
How hot is his daughter?
Yeah, I don't think we ever see the daughter.
Oh,
so.
okay. Well, you don't know. Maybe the hag's got some hot young piece of ass, and you'd be like, oh, all right, let's do it.
Anyway, this is when we find out that fairy marriages are temporary. So because their lifespans are so long.
So are most of my marriages.
Yeah.
Boom.
2 for 3.
Multiple divorces. There's a couple people I hate, but I definitely don't want to fuck.
No, not anymore.
Never.
I fucking hope not.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Not missing out there.
All right. Anyway, they're temporary in that, they work it into the vows, like we'll be married for 30 years, or we'll be married until there's an heir, or there's always like an out built into it.
Okay.
But royal marriages are permanent. So if Carden had married this hag or her daughter, it would have been.
You're in the bloodline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Locke then comes up and says he wants to be master of revels. So he wants a court position to where he can just throw drunken parties all the time.
Oh. Well,
He also does not look at Jude,
and why would he?
and then Carden agrees. Jude sees the bomb, who's the spy who does like the explosives and stuff.
Da bomb.
The bomb.
Da bomb.
Okay.
See, this is how you know that I wasn't on top of it last time. Because
you would have definitely
I definitely
made
would
that
have gone
joke,
for da bomb immediately.
Okay.
This is what happens when you make me record too many episodes all at once. I
It
can't
was
do it.
2.
It's too many. I can't do it.
All right.
I need space and time to reload and get my bits together.
Okay. Then she hears Locke say he's going to throw a party for the hunters. So she tells the bomb. She goes up to the bomb and says that Belkin wants to see Carden. And they're going to propose a bargain with him. And then Jude is like, I want to go see him. I want to know what he's up to. Belkin is in the tower forgetting, like we talked about.
Being forgotten about.
Being forgotten about. Jude rides a horse out there. Has a guard take her to him. He's all uppity. He says, I'm still a prince of fairy. I deserve your respect, blah, blah, blah.
Turns out you don't deserve nothing. You're being forgot about.
And then he orders the guard to hit Jude in the face. And the guard does.
Oh, well,
Because-
that guard just got fired.
Well, he is a prince of fairy, and she is human. In this world, it does not always like human. Jude says she speaks for the High King. Falcon says he won't give her the message. Carden will have to get it himself. And he says Carden will get it himself soon. So Jude
That's
starts...
ominous.
Yeah, it is. Ominous as fuck. Jude starts walking out of the tower, but then like a hand grabs her ankle. And there's a woman who says that she knew Jude's mother. But Jude is like, I don't want to do this right now. I don't want to deal with this. So she just leaves.
She's like, oh, fuck you. I don't care.
But she does kidnap one of the guards on her way out.
Why would you do that?
Because she's going to take the card to the Court of Shadows. And when she takes off his blindfold, Jude asks if he thought he could hit her and get away with it. Because it's the one who smacked her in the face. And wants to know about the bargain Belkin was going to offer Carden. The guard says he doesn't know, but he does know another secret. He'll tell her if she swears he can leave unharmed. And then he says the Queen of the Undersea, so Mermaid Queen, Nicasia's mother, Merqueen, sends people who climb the walls. So Queen of the Undersea and Belkin are somehow communicating.
All right.
She tells the guard to come straight to her next time it happens, or if he hears anything interesting. And she says she can give him rewards that Belkin will never be able to because Belkin is locked in a tower, presumably for the rest of his life.
Right.
So, yeah.
He still should be in a dungeon.
Okay.
None of this goes wrong if he's in a dungeon.
All right. Jude goes back to her room, and Taryn is there. Taryn has decided to be the first to apologize, finally.
Okay. She's done being a cunt.
Yeah. She says she wants Jude to come to her wedding. And Jude is like, okay, I'll do it for you.
I'm not attending that wedding. First of all, I hate weddings in general, but I'm definitely not going to that one.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Like, your shitty sister wants to marry the dude who was trying to bang you on the side.
Yep.
Hard pass.
Yeah. But then Taryn says that she thought Jude hated Carden. And Jude is like, no, we came to an agreement because nobody knows that she's got this deal with Carden.
Right.
Taryn offers to bring her some stuff from Maddox's house because Jude is now living in the palace with Carden.
Well, because she's in charge of him and she's
Yeah.
the hand of the king.
Yeah, you kind of keep a tight rein on that.
Yeah.
Jude is still doing Mithridatism, where she poisons herself to try to build immunity.
Oh, she's still microdosing on shrooms.
Yes. Yeah. And she falls asleep. The ghost and the bomb wake her up.
Dough bomb.
Okay. Ghost says that Carden is at it again. They go through a secret passage to Carden's room, and they see that furniture is broken, and Locke and 2 other fairies are there. So Jude tells Locke and the fairies to leave, and she asks Carden what happened. He shows her 2 crossbow bolts. One almost got him, I think it's the side or something. And he says the shooter left through the walls. He was having some kind of orgy with Locke.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it was a separate orgy. So Locke was having his own orgy, and Carden.
It wasn't just a. It wasn't an.
Communal
It's not
orgy.
an all skate.
No,
It was a passing around.
and someone shot him in the middle of it.
Oh, it's not a great time to get shot.
Nope.
Well, you don't want to get shot with your dick out.
No, you don't.
It's not good for anybody.
Jude sees a cabinet in the wall. Her and the ghost check it out, and they find a door that opens. So she climbs in, finds the crossbow.
This turned into the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe right here.
Okay. Goes down a long hallway, and then opens another door that goes into the old king's room. So the one that died. Eldred was his name. I don't know if you're going to remember that.
What are they doing with that room? Is it just empty?
Yeah, Carden doesn't want to sleep in there at this point. So,
It's weird. You take the master bedroom.
well, he's decided not to at this point.
Idiot.
Nicasia is sitting on the bed crying. Nicasia is Merqueen's daughter,
Right.
who also bullied the fuck out of Jude.
She's a cunt too.
Yeah.
A lot of
Jude-
cunts in this book.
Yeah. Nicasia says not to tell Carden that she shot him. She was trying to shoot the girl that Carden was with. She's just a terrible fucking shot.
That's also not a great way to break up an orgy.
Also,
Firing off random crossbow shots.
she wanted to surprise Carden in his room. She was going to try to seduce him herself.
Turns out he was already
Yeah.
in the throes of a seduction.
Yeah. And she says she didn't think the crossbow would be so hard to aim. But also because there's like a treaty between the Undersea and the High Court of Elfame, she thinks she's not going to be punished even though she shot at the king.
You just get away with that.
And then Jude is like, you fucking idiot. It just so happens I know that your mother is intent on breaking the treaty. You see, she will say it was between Queen Orla and High King Eldred, not Queen Orla and High King Carden. It doesn't apply any longer, which means it won't protect you. So again,
Off with her head.
yeah. But then Jude is like, I will tell everyone that the shooter got away. I won't tell Carden it was you. If Nicasia does something for her. And she wants to know what Merqueen, I'm just going to call her that because that seems easier
It's
for you.
easier than these stupid names.
Okay. What queen, what's his planning?
Could have just named her like Bridget or something.
No.
It makes sense.
No, see, the humans have human names and the fairies have fairy names.
Okay.
Okay.
What's a fairy name?
Well, I mean, Orla is kind of, again, a little Celtic.
Yeah, I mean they're all aside from stupid. What qualifies as a fairy name?
Celtic at this point. I don't know.
The Irish. They eat potatoes.
Sure.
You take away their potatoes, they all just die. They don't know
Hey.
what to do.
Hey,
Irish people.
it was a whole thing. Nicasia says her mother thinks Carden will give in. If he doesn't, Elfame will sink. So the queen is just going to pull it under the water. And the queen wants Carden and Nicasia to get married. But she's only flattering Belkin right now. So the messages that she's sending, she's just kissing ass. So he'll, like, sit there and not do anything stupid.
Well, but he's sitting in a tower. He can't do anything anyway.
She's also kind of hedging her bets a little bit, like just in case Carden doesn't work out. let's keep this guy in our back pocket.
Because you could marry him off too.
Yeah. And then Nicasia says, someone has betrayed Jude. She won't say who. She won't say how exactly. So not exactly super helpful. It just makes Jude really paranoid.
Well, and you'd assume she would be pretty paranoid anyway because she's in a situation with
yeah.
a bunch of people who don't particularly care for humans.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
so paranoia in general, but now it's just gone up a notch. So Jude goes back to Cardin's room and tells him he can't sleep there. She brings him to her room. He says he thought it might have been Jude shooting at him, but he knew it wasn't her because they missed. And
Right,
then Jude is like, oh, you're drunk.
She's a good shot.
Yeah. I mean, she did the training with the Court of Shadows and everything.
Yeah.
She grew up with Maddox, who's violent and stuff. So,
Who's
yeah.
The Incredible Hulk.
He's got a point.
Yeah.
You'd be dead. And then Cardin, in his drunken stupor, says, if you're the sickness, I suppose you can't also be the cure. So he's...
Is he down with the sickness?
Sure.
Ooh, ah. That's... I mean, I like to think that's a little off the cuff and not a whole lot of people are going to get that joke, but...
I got it
It's
for
a good
what
one.
it's worth.
It's a good one. You're welcome if you got that joke.
Okay.
Also, I was going to make a Hey Jude joke in the last episode, but the Beatles suck and I just couldn't come up with any kind of
Oh,
reference to
my God.
tie it in. So it just never got there. Which that shows you my musical taste. I just put in a Disturbed reference, but the Beatles, not good enough to make the cut. Never wrote one riff. Beatles are terrible.
Why is that your, like, bar for a good musician?
It
How
just-
many riffs?
Eh, not a single one.
Okay.
Entire catalog.
Okay.
Terrible. Continue.
I will, actually.
Move along. Unlike the syrup, it's slow as fuck. Never gonna get there.
God. Okay. Jude spends all day sitting in front of the door with her sword, trying to protect Cardin, make sure that nobody else comes in to shoot him. And then the roach comes in and says the council wants to see her. So they call it the Living Council. It's a group of advisors for the king. So, again,
Okay.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, the big table where all the
Yeah.
cunts sit around
Yep.
and bitch about stuff, and they all get killed later.
And Jude asks about the room that Cardin was staying in, and the roach says that was used for the king's consorts. So instead of sleeping in like the king's room, Cardin is sleeping in the like king fuck buddy room.
The Hooers room,
Okay.
or the Saddles,
Oh,
if you've been
God.
listening to all of them.
Uh,
You're here from previous podcasts.
God, I hated that
The
so much.
Saddles. His Hooers.
Where the fuck did that come from?
It's just in there.
Okay.
Sometimes things come out.
All right. Jude goes to the council meeting. Maddox is still on the council. He's the Grand General. There's a guy named Randolin who's the Minister of Keys. And he asks where Cardin is and says there are rumors that he shot a lover and also a rumor that one of his lovers is pregnant. So already things are spiraling out of control.
Rocking somebody up. Minister of Keys, do you just make sure the keys don't get lost?
I guess. Unclear job description, I gotta say.
Just get a keychain. Or,
Okay.
find like a dish where you always put your keys when you get home. You don't need a whole minister for that.
Well, they got one.
All right. Seems like an unnecessary hire.
Okay. The astrologer says Cardin is connected to the land. When his blood falls, things grow. So, because he's High King, like he's got this power associated with the land as a whole.
It's weird.
That'll be important later.
Okay. Well, that's a good way to tell me he's going to die later. Thanks.
No, he's not gonna die.
Spoiler alert. He's dead.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
It's wicked awesome.
Randolin says people used to bring their kids to the king so that they could pledge them, but some were hidden as changelings in the human world. One court recently brought back a changeling queen. So that's a big deal because this child queen has never pledged herself to the high court. She's not bound by an oath or anything. She can do whatever she wants.
Do whatever the fuck.
That's going to be important later. Mostly in the... So there's 3 books, trilogy, and then there's 2 books after that that are a duology, like sequel to this.
It's too many books.
You'll be fine.
Why would you read so many books?
I like
Also,
books.
all of these books. Why can't they complete a story in one like 400-page book?
That's pretty rare for fantasy books, and also I like series.
And that's fine. You can. I like a succinct thought, and I like a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end all at once.
Says the guy who watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Which, okay, that's a terrible argument because, as it turns out, that show fucking sucked. You watched the last 2 seasons, so it's really a bad argument.
Okay, there are other things.
The argument you could have made is that I watch professional wrestling, which has literally never stopped since it started. There's literally characters on there who've been in the business for 30 plus years, and you could trace their stories back to when they started. Some even before that, because their dad was in it. So now you got to follow his career, and now you're watching 60 hours of wrestling.
Anyway.
Or 14 hours a week.
I like series. I like the interconnected story.
I just like with a movie, I hate movies that are in multiple parts. I just want my movie to be an hour and a half and be done.
Okay. Can we move on?
I guess so.
Okay. Jude tries to tell them that they need to worry about the undersea, but the council blows her off because she's just dumb moral girl. Randolin says the court of termites will be at the Hunter's Moon Revel. And then Jude meets the bomb in the old king's room.
Da bomb.
Okay, I knew it was coming. They're gonna have...
Is it coming or is it just breathing heavy?
Oh my god.
Boom! Got it. Da bomb.
They're gonna make Carden move into the room.
Why don't they just put him in his dad's room?
Well, that's what they're doing now.
Okay, because it makes a lot more sense that's where it seems like it'd be more secure.
It's the old king's room, so it's his dad's room.
Right.
They're checking for other secret passages just to make sure nobody else comes out from a corner and shoots him with a crossbow.
Ridiculous.
They find like an enchanted orb thing that shows Carden as a toddler trying to get his mother's attention by yanking another kid out of a tree. So
he was a cunt as a kid.
Yes.
I don't understand what she sees in this guy. Real piece of shit.
We get a lot more back history on Carden between this book and the next book. So Jude goes to a banquet, and then a cook comes out carrying trays provided by the undersea. Each fish has a little coin in it. And then Nicasia sits next to Jude and tells her she doesn't belong. And she says that Carden can't love her. And Jude is like, what do you want? Nicasia wants to know what Jude has on Carden, why he gave her power. Jude says she'll tell her if Nicasia tells something in return. And she asks about Carden's mom. Nicasia says Carden's mom was lowborn, never officially became a consort, so she never had a position in the court. She was just fucking the king to do it.
Just getting that D on the side.
And then she tells Jude that it's her turn. And then Jude says, I kissed him on the mouth, and then I threatened to kiss him some more if he didn't do exactly what I wanted.
Kissed him on the mouth. That's such a weird way of saying it.
I mean, yeah.
Next time I want to fool around, I'm just gonna be like, hey, you want to go kiss on the mouth?
I'm going to say no.
Kiss on the mouth, and then I'll touch your butt.
Okay. Jude goes back to her room. Tatterfell is there, who's Maddox's servant that was helping her when she lived in Maddox's house. And Taryn. Taryn pretended to be Jude to get a key because they're...
Oh, right, they look the same.
They're identical twins.
Right.
And she brought some of Jude's stuff. And Jude finds like a little ring that she puts on. Jude asks Taryn what she wants. And Taryn wants Jude to keep Locke from being master of rebels. And Jude is like, nah, I'll talk to Carden about it. But she's not really going to do anything.
Well, yeah, because if she's going to be his wife, she probably doesn't want her husband to be in charge of throwing, like...
Crazy drunken parties.
Yeah, crazy orgies at the castle all the time.
Yeah, but in Jude's mind, if he's master of rebels, then he can't fuck up other things. So...
Keeps him busy.
Yeah.
Planning all the orgies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Takes time.
Okay. Parties at the palace get even crazier. Jude meets with the guard from the tower, the one who hit her, then she blackmailed. She goes to Carden's room. Locke, Nicasia, and Taryn are there, and he tells them to leave. So Jude brings up the revel and says he might enjoy being king now, but he might not always, and that she wants to extend her vow. And Carden is like, no. In only a few months, you will have to order me to abdicate in favor of Oak, or make an arrangement that will require us to trust each other, rather than my trusting you without hope of being trusted in return. So Carden is saying that he trusts her, but it's got to go both ways.
I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, bitch.
Sure. Jude asks him to watch out for Taryn at the revel, and then she leaves. And then she walks past a room, and Val Morin is there. Val Morin was the seneschal before her. He was also in love with the High King. And he's mortal.
Like, sexy in love?
Yes.
Okay.
And he asked Jude why she hasn't asked for his help. And he tells her to juggle better than he did. So not super helpful. Hunter's Moon is the next night. So this big party that Locke is planning
They're
is the
always
next night.
partying.
Yeah, fairies like to party. Especially Carden. Carden is sitting on a throne. And Jude sees that he's got her ring on his pinky. Because the roach taught him how to pickpocket. So he took it from her when she wasn't looking.
Okay.
And he tells her to walk with him and said he made sure Taryn wouldn't be there at the revel.
Also, that fits his whole aesthetic to start wearing a pinky ring.
Yeah.
For the record.
Well, in the book it's described as he's got like a lot of jewelry.
He's blinged out.
Yeah, because he's the king and he's a fairy, so he's got the big pointy ears, and he's got like earrings along his ears all the time, and then he's got the crown, and he's usually got lots of rings on, and
He's Flava Flav.
Oh, sure. He's Flava Flav.
He's Flava Flav, played by Ben Affleck.
Oh my god. That's a picture.
He's got a big clock around his neck. What was Flava Flav's thing that he always yelled?
I think it was just his name. I think he just said
Flavor Flav!
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. I was thinking of, what's the other guy who was like, yeah! That's what I was thinking, but that's not Flavor Flav.
Is that Little Wayne? T-Cane? I don't know.
Little John?
Oh, it might have been
Might
Little
be
John.
Little John?
My
I
bad.
can't keep all the littles
Okay.
together. There's too many littles in the rap community.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with all the littles.
Moving on.
I'm not talking about midgets. I'm talking about their names. There's not a lot of midget rappers, I don't think. I'd be more interested in that. I would definitely listen to a midget rapper. The only rap that I really listen to is Vanilla Ice. You know, the guy who invented hip-hop. Continue.
Oh my god. Okay. Jude tries to get a sense of what Locke has planned, but Carden says he doesn't want to worry his pretty head over it, so Carden doesn't even know what's going to happen. And says that she shouldn't be there. Tells her to go back to the palace, but Jude wants to stay because the court of termites is going to be there. She hasn't seen them since the coronation. They're the ones that told Jude they would support Carden's coronation if they agreed to let her have a favor that they could call in whenever. So she's worried that they're going to call in this favor.
Also, it's weird to call yourself, like, name your group after termites.
Well, there's also the court of teeth, and
Also weird.
Yeah.
Jars of teeth.
sure. Grimson shows up, the metal worker. And he starts giving a big speech just about how great he is and all the magical things he's made.
He's a real Donald Trump, that guy.
Yeah. Jude finds Dokamara from the Court of Termites. I don't think I mentioned her name in the last one, but she's pretty close to Lord Roybin, who is the leader of the Court of Termites. And she says even the Court of Termites hears things. So the rumors have already made it to them that Carden is fucking around and has multiple lovers and may have gotten somebody pregnant. The whole thing.
Threw a baby in somebody.
Jude dismisses the rumors, and then Dokamara reminds her of the deal she made. So, like she's saying, we are gonna call in that favor sometime soon. And then Locke announces they're gonna crown a queen of mirth, which is normally this thing that they do to a mortal girl after getting her drunk on fairy wine so she doesn't know what's happening. But then he says, no, the king should crown his queen. Locke says Jude will be the queen of mirth. They give her a dirty dress and a crown made of sticks because normally she would be all fucked up on Ever Apple and fairy wine. She wouldn't understand what was happening. She knows. But Jude just takes off her dress to put the other one on. She gets pushed into a dance and she can't stop because she's mortal.
I was wondering if that was going to come back up with the dancing thing.
Yeah.
Because that was a silly thing in the first one.
Well, it's a real part of the mythology.
I know, it's still silly. It's a silly part of the mythology.
Okay. But she yells at everyone to stop. And then because the music stops, then she's able to stop dancing. And she says, as your queen of mirth, as the seneschal of the High King, you will allow me to choose the dance. So Jude says...
It's the Macarena.
Sure. Macarena. Jude says she wants to dance with the king. And then Carden agrees. So they start dancing. And Carden says he didn't plan her humiliation. And she's like, but you still enjoyed it. And why shouldn't I delight to see you squirm? You tricked me.
Also, once again, why would she not just go like full vengeance on all of them and just have him be like, she could just tell him like, oh, these people just embarrassed me. They're trying to fuck with me. Have them all executed right now.
Well, she has to kind of maintain some status quo in order to keep things from blowing up, because there could be a revolt and Carden could be taken off the throne and then she could be killed in the process. Like, it's a political game. And this is how being in fairy works.
I guess she doesn't use her vengeance properly.
Okay.
Heads on spikes.
Okay. Joffrey.
Hey. He had some good points. The look on her face right now is fantastic.
Okay. They stop dancing, and then Jude asks for permission to leave, and then runs. But as she's running, she sees a Selkie climbing out of the water. So a Selkie is like a water demon. Lives in the water. Guess who they work for?
Merqueen.
Yeah. So she goes running back to the rebel and tells the guard to protect the king and says the undersea is coming. One of the Selkies shows up and has a message from Queen, the Merqueen. And it sings a weird song about Nicasia marrying Carden. So it's basically a threat from the Merqueen saying, you have to marry my daughter soon or else. Carden tells Jude to assemble the council. He'll be there as soon as he can. And Jude leaves, and then she realizes that Carden just gave her an order. And she's like, I don't think I like this. Jude goes to her room to take the dirty dress off that she's still wearing. And she sees a note from the Grand General, Maddox. Come to the war room immediately. Do not wait for the council. And then she goes. Maddox says the astrologer saw ill fortune in Carden's future, because they do, like, the royal kids especially, when they're born, the astrologer has to look into the stars and see what's
But it's
gonna
astrology, so it doesn't really matter because none of it's real.
It does matter a little bit in this part.
It's not real.
Okay.
You know what I am? A stegosaurus. And then people are like, well, that one's not real. None of them are real. Astrology's stupid.
Okay.
Not a thing.
Okay. Anyway. He wants her to betray Carden. It says Merqueen will murder all of the lower courts. And he says Jude should have cut out Carden's heart for humiliating her at the revel. And at this point, Jude gets fucking pissed because this is not the first time she's been humiliated in like the last 10 years that she's lived there. She says, you let me be humiliated in Fairy from the time I was a child. You let the folk hurt me and laugh at me and mutilate me. I've been glamored and carried into a revel, weeping and alone. As far as I can tell, the only difference between tonight and all the other nights when I endured indignities without complaint is that those benefited you. And when I endure this, it benefits me. So she's calling him out.
Which, yeah, it seems like he's been pretty terrible.
Yeah,
the whole time.
It turns out red caps don't make good parents.
Yeah.
Maddox says he didn't know, and then Jude says, you didn't want to know. And then Randallin, the Minister of Keys, who needs a keychain.
He comes in jangling his keys like, let's go for a ride.
He walks in and says the council meeting is about to start. The council meets in Carden's room, and Randallin tells Carden he should make Nicasia his consort and then get her pregnant immediately.
Knock that bitch up.
Maddox says he wants to know what Jude thinks, and says if they had listened to her before, this might not have happened, which the council suggests killing Belkin before he can kill Oak or Carden, but Carden says he'll take it under advisement. He wants to talk to Nicasia first before they do anything.
Why don't they just kill her? Because she's just hanging out in the castle anyway.
Nicasia?
Yeah.
Well, she's like a ward. That part of this treaty that they made with the Undersea is that, like, she has to be kept safe there.
Yeah, but her mom is now trying to, like, declare a war, but they've got her kid.
Well, yeah, and Carden is also her friend. So, and I'm not saying it's a good decision.
There's flaws.
Okay.
Real flaws in these plans.
Jude brings her to Carden's room. Nicasia is like, it was my mother's plan. I didn't know what was happening. And then Carden gets angry. He says, tell the Queen of the Undersea that if she threatens me again, she will find her daughter my prisoner instead of my bride. So this is when he says, like, I'll fuck you up.
Head on a spike.
Randallin says they should think it over. Let's not make any hasty decisions. You might still want to marry her. And Nicasia says she'll talk to her mother. And that, like, maybe they should get married. It would be a good idea because they'd be very powerful together. And Carden was like, would you condemn the both of us to misery together? And Acacia says they would be legends. And then she leaves. And then Carden tells everyone but Jude to leave. And as soon as they're alone, Jude says, if you give me an order again, I will humiliate you. And then she leaves. She doesn't want to talk to him. And she goes to the Court of Shadows and remembers the woman who said that she knew her mother. Considers offering her freedom in exchange for passing information because Balkan is in the tower and he's getting messages. She goes to the bomb.
The bomb.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. Tells her to sneak the woman out dressed as a servant. And the bomb says that woman is Carden's mother. So Carden's mother has also been in the tower forgetting
Oh,
for a long time.
to be forgotten about.
To be forgotten about.
Looks like it worked because nobody knew.
Yep. And the roach brings her in. Her name is Lady Asha. Jude asks why she was in the tower. And the roach says Eldred just got tired of her.
I'm tired of looking at that bitch.
Yep.
Get her out of here.
And then Jude asks about her mother. Asha says she used to sneak to the mortal world with her. Says she'll tell Jude everything she knows if she has freedom. But she doesn't want Carden to know that, like, she's there. She doesn't want Carden to know where she is. She does not want to see her own child for some reason.
Probably because he's a cunt.
Well, Jude says she'll consider it if Asha tells her something valuable. Asha says a hag came to see Eva, which is Jude's mom, when she was pregnant, and said her child would be a great weapon. Jude says that's not enough, tells Asha to send a message when she thinks of something better, and then steps out to talk to the roach. The roach says Asha fell in love with court life and left baby Carden with a cat. So Carden was very much a neglected child. His mom was so interested in just doing the court stuff. He grew up, instead of, I guess, would it be breast milk if they're fairies? I don't know. He drank cat milk instead of breast milk. is what
Cat,
they'd
like,
say.
so he sucked on a cat's
Yep.
titties. That's bizarre.
Yep.
That's we just started watching the chimp show on
Oh, God.
HBO Max, and the lady was breastfeeding the monkey.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy too. So this is just the other way around. This is a person sucking on an animal instead of an animal sucking on
Yeah.
a person.
Yep.
I'm not sure which is worse.
Well, after Asha went to the tower, that's when Carden went to live with Balkan. Jude goes to a council meeting, and then Maddox says he plans to use Oak as bait. And Jude is immediately like, no, Oak is safe where he's at. Maddox says sometimes they need to do things for Elfham that might hurt their loved ones. Jude gets 2 messages, one from Vivian and one from Carden. He wants her to come to the throne room. And then on the way out, Randallin is like, you should maybe find a new Grand General, because Maddox did attempt a coup. Maybe we don't want him on our side.
How are they getting these messages around?
There are, like, servants just running back and forth, basically.
Okay. I don't know if they have pigeons or something.
I don't remember there being pigeons, no. Carden is sitting on his throne, lounging on it.
Gangster style.
Yeah,
Clock around his neck.
yeah. And Locke is there. Carden asks if they're at war. So Jude tells Locke to leave. And then Carden takes her to a hidden room behind the throne. So there's like ivy and there's like a door. They go in and it's got a little couch in it. He shows her a message she got from Balkan. And she suggests bringing Balkan to him in chains. She says that Nicasia knows more than she's saying. And she tells Carden that he should go charm her, quote unquote. And then this is when she says that Nicasia was the one who shot him, but she was aiming for the girl he was with, not him. Carden asks if he's commanding her, and she says no. So in case you didn't get the quotes there,
Fuck her.
yes.
Yeah, stick it in her backside.
I don't think that was what she was going for.
What if she's into butt play? Charm her with a good old fashioned piping.
Okay. Carden gets upset. He just says, you just think I ought to, that I can, that I'd be good at it. Very well, Jude. Tell me how it's done. And then they have this whole back and forth situation where he's like trying to get her worked up. He asks how he should touch Nicasia. Jude says she doesn't know. Carden gets all hot and bothered when Jude says that she hates him. And then they get handsy on a couch for a little while.
Little over the clothes foreplay.
No, I think the clothes come off.
Oh.
But
This one's not like a full blown porn book.
no, it's not.
So
it's
they don't
pretty
go
big.
into a lot of detail.
No, yeah.
Normally. this would be like
Well-
three chapters.
Not 3
of
chapters.
Talking about how he was 2 knuckles deep.
Oh my god. Okay. The next day, Jude sneaks into Locke's house and holds a knife to his throat. And he tells him that she wants revenge. He says if she kills him, Taryn will be devastated. And she says better she never be a bride than wind up a widow. She'll do it. She tells him to stop messing with her and Carden. If he humiliates Carden, others will go against him. And also tells him to stop sleeping around on Taryn. Like, cut it out.
Keep your dick out of the help.
And then he asks if she's going to murder him. And she says, no, Matic will do it first. Because, again,
He's the Incredible Hulk.
yeah,
And you're banging other people. And you're supposed to be marrying the Incredible Hulk's daughter.
yeah. The Roach and Jude go to the mortal world. They go to a diner. And the Roach asks if Jude will tell Carden about his mother. Jude says no. The Roach says she should. Says the Court of Shadows doesn't keep secrets from each other. Well, Jude is like, Carden's not really part of the Court of Shadows, though. He's the king. And Roach has been training Carden, and Carden's pretty good at it. So he considers him part of the Court of Shadows. And she's like, fine, I'll tell him. Jude then goes to Vivian's apartment because Vivian lives in the mortal world now.
Right.
Her girlfriend Heather opens the door. So they're all getting ready to go to Locke and Taryn's wedding.
Right.
Heather still at this point does not know that fairies are real, that there is a place called Fairy,
Right.
that her girlfriend is half fairy.
That's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. And then she asks,
That's quite a secret to keep from your significant other, right?
yeah, you want to guess how it's going to go?
Not great, I
Yeah.
imagine.
She asks Jude if her car is going to be big enough for all that stuff. And Jude just kind of laughs. And then Jude finds Vivian and tells her not to come to the wedding because the Undersea wants Oak. And Jude says Locke won't make Taryn happy. Which, fair. They all go outside. Heather asks about the car again. And that's, Vivian, remember, can make horses out of like ragwort.
Right.
So she does that. And then Heather screams,
As you would.
as you would. Thinks they're pulling some kind of prank on her. Jude and Oak get on one of the horses, and Vivian and Heather get on another, and Jude can kind of hear Vivian, like, trying to calm Heather down, like, this is my brother Oak, and, like, our dad's a red cap, and we're gonna go over here, and it's gonna be Ryan, and look how good
We're
you're
gonna
doing.
ride on frogs.
Oh, yeah, there might also be some riding on frogs. They get to Fairy. Jude tells Heather that it's not easy to be human there, and tells her to be careful, don't make bargains, don't eat fairy fruit, and carry rowan berries and salt. So she's trying to give, Vivian's not a human, not a full-blooded one anyway. She's never had to worry about all these things.
Yeah. Well, heads up.
Yeah. Vivian gives Jude a gift for Carden, and Jude is like, just give it to him yourself. She goes back to the palace, sees Carden in Acacia, and then she gets kind of jealous, even though it was her idea. Talks to the bomb about Grimson.
Also, she's like, you should bang this other chick. And then he's trying to bang the other chick, and she's like, what an asshole.
Well, no, that's not exactly how that goes. It's a more of like oh God, I don't like this. Like, not like I'm gonna kill her, but like I just don't like it kind of thing.
Make up your
She's
mind.
not dumb.
Make up your mind, woman.
All right. She decides to go see Grimson. So she goes to the forge, and he says he knew her father because Jude's father, made swords and shit, and fairy. That's how he met her mother. And she says she's looking for a gift to give to Taryn. He says he only barters. And then he asks if Taryn's match is a love match. And then Jude says it must be, since there's no practical value in it.
Fair.
Yeah. He gives her these special earrings. One is a star and the other is a moon. Jude asks what they do. He says they make the person wearing them more beautiful. And she asks what he wants in return. He wants one of her tears and for her to take and offer to Carden. He really wants to make special armor and swords for Carden to wear into battle because he wants to be famous again.
Yeah, except Carden's kind of a little bitch, so he's not going into battle.
No, he'd be better off giving that shit to Jude.
Yeah.
Jude goes back to the Court of Shadows. She's trying to plan how to keep Oak safe. And then Carden walks in. He says, Nicasia talked, so he did it. He charmed her.
Yeah, he stuck it in her.
Yeah. Merqueen is going to attack during the wedding. Acacia told him the land and the sea would be united by his choice or by force. So either they get married or it's not going to go well. And then he says, it seems I have a singular taste for women who threaten me.
So his dick gets all hard whenever somebody's mean to him.
Yeah.
He's a real bottom. Is what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
yeah. Carden starts talking about the other night, and Judith's like, no. We were just getting it out of our system. I don't want to talk about it. We're not going to do it again. And then she meets with Maddox and tells him that they should use Oak as bait. So she has come around to the idea. He says he doesn't fully trust her now. And then she reminds him that he'd probably still like to have her on his side. And then Maddox says, does our High King have any idea how good you are at running his kingdom for him? So Maddox might not know the exact deal, but he knows somehow that
she's
Jude
in
is
charge.
pulling the strings. Yeah. The next day, Balkan comes to the throne room in chains. Jude gave Asha a note to set a trap for Balkan. It says Oak is going back to the mortal world by boat the day after the wedding. So they're going to try to lure some kind of attack. Balkan says he wants out of the tower. Carden says no.
You live there now.
You live there
Well, everybody's
forever.
trying to forget about you.
Yeah. He says it's justice for murdering their sisters. Fair. Balkan says he was trying to make Carden better and stronger. And Carden is like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. So he sends him back to the tower. Jude and Maddox set 3 traps for the undersea. There's going to be an Oak decoy in a boat. There's going to be Oak in a maze that are going to have like tree fairies watching, so they'll jump in if anything happens. And then an Oak decoy getting out of the carriage before the wedding. Then Jude is going to spend the night with Taryn the night before. So she packs a bag. She brings the earrings that she got as a gift.
Fancy earrings. But they're cursed.
At this point, we don't know that that's the thing that Grimson does. She just thinks they're magic earrings. She gets on a horse. She starts riding. She hears other horses around her. And then 7 riders come out of the woods. All of their faces are covered. One of them has an axe. So she starts riding towards Maddox's house because she says, like, even if Maddox is mad at her, he's still going to protect her. Because these motherfuckers are coming to get her.
And he's the Incredible Hulk. So you want him on your side.
Okay. Also, one of them has a bow and arrow.
Okay. Is he Lou Ferrigno Incredible Hulk, or is he like the new CGI Incredible Hulk?
I don't know.
I'm going to assume Lou
Do you want me to
Ferrigno.
look up the fan art real quick?
Do you know who Lou Ferrigno is? He was the guy who played the original Incredible Hulk.
I've
Just a
probably
big, like,
seen it.
muscular dude who
That
they just painted.
green.
Yeah, they just painted him green.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen
Yeah.
pictures, but I
Lou
don't know his
Ferrigno's,
name.
he's pretty cool.
Okay. Do you want to look at the fan art when we're done?
Has it erotic fan art?
No, not
the
dramatic.
Guy, like the Guy Fieri stuff?
No,
See, you wouldn't have thought Guy Fieri was erotic fan art either, but it's there. Guy Fieri all sexy in a bathtub. Bathtub
Please get
with
me.
like ketchup and french fries.
Please stop. Okay. There's this whole big chase that happens. Jude eventually gets out of danger, kills a couple of them along the way, hurts another one of them really badly. But then her horse dies in the process, and her bag is gone, the one that had the earrings. But she does find her sword, and then she walks to Maddox's house, and she's like limping in and hurt and bloody, and it's a whole thing. She goes to her old room and starts to pull an arrow out of her leg because she got shot. And then Vivian walks in, and Jude is like, just don't say anything, just help me get a needle and thread. I'm going to sew it back up, and then we're going to act like nothing has happened.
Because she's Rambo.
Basically, yeah. And then Vivian does help her get it sewed up. Says she should stay and rest, but then Jude is like, no, it's the night before the wedding. We're not going to do that.
Bachelorette party. We got to go party.
Well, I think they just end up like hanging out together, but she goes into Taryn's room and then she just says like, no, I'm fine. I just fell off of my horse.
And landed on an arrow.
And landed on an arrow, yeah.
You'll be fine.
She wakes up later in her old room and then she starts to think that her leg might be infected.
Well, it probably is.
Yep. Oriana comes in and gives her a dress to wear to the wedding. She goes downstairs and then Taryn comes down a few minutes later. They all get in a carriage. The wedding is at Locke's house, so that's where they're going. When they get there, the bomb... Okay, give Jude some more for her leg.
See, I didn't do it that time. I just wanted to see how long you waited.
Fuck you for that. Carden comes up to Jude and asks if she's ready for Locke to be part of her family. She tells him he shouldn't be alone and commands him not to be alone from sundown till sunup. Carden walks off, and Jude sees Maddox. He overheard her commanding Carden, so now, like, he knows something for sure is up. Jude goes into the maze and gets lost, but then she hears something, and Heather comes out. Heather has cat ears.
Meow.
Someone has magicked her. She can't talk. She keeps meowing.
Just like our kid. Our daughter's been real into
Oh
this
my
game
God.
where she likes to pretend she's a cat for
Yeah.
the last like 2 days.
Yeah.
So she just rolls around on the floor meowing a whole
Meows,
bunch.
yeah. Heather points to the person who cursed her, so Jude threatens them, and then he undoes it. Heather says she wants to leave immediately. She's like crying and hysterical. And then the ghost comes up to Jude and says to come with him because the undersea made a move at the tower. Jude wants to say goodbye to Taryn first, but then notices that Taryn is wearing the earrings that she never actually gave her. And that Locke is limping. So
And she hurt the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's connecting some dots right now. She gets to the tower, and guards are dead on the floor. So she decides to let Carden's mom go. Belkin's cell is empty when they get there, and then the ghost comes up behind her. And she realizes the ghost is the person who, like Kezia said, was going to betray her. And she asks him why. He says, I served Prince Dane, not you. And then everything goes to hell. She gets knocked out, wakes up at the bottom of the ocean, but like in a room that has air in it, because it's magic.
Okay. That makes perfect sense.
Or no, actually I did that wrong. So they do magic on her so that she can breathe the water.
Okay.
That's how it happens.
So she's got gills now.
Basically. Nicasia comes in and then just punches her in the stomach. Says she's going to figure out what Jude did to Carden. And Jude says, you think I performed a trick because Carden likes me better than you. But you shot at him with a crossbow bolt. Of course he likes me better.
Sick burn.
Nicasia then knocks her out. She wakes up later in chains. And then someone comes in and tells her she's got to have dinner with the Queen, Nicasia, and Belkin. So Belkin, this
Yeah.
is where Belkin ended up.
Yeah, I really want to eat that meal. They're not up to no good.
Well, it's going to get worse.
Trying to poison you in a dinner.
Prince Dane put her under a geas so that nobody else could compel her to do anything, but nobody knows about that at this point. So she gets to the dinner, and then the Queen compels Jude to come to her. So Jude has to make the split-second decision of, like, I have to pretend that it's working because this is a thing she's got in her back pocket.
Yeah.
So she does. She pretends it works. Orla tries to tell her that they are her friends and that she should be loyal to them. Jude, again, still pretending she agrees. Merqueen asks if she kissed Carden, asks why Maddox kept Oak's parents a secret, and Jude says he must have had his reasons. And then asks Nicasia if Grimson could really make a new crown. So that's Jude's suspicion of Grimson was kind of spot on. He's trying to make a new crown to get around the family has to crown the other person in the family.
Right. The curse of the current crown.
Yeah. And then they wouldn't need Oak to crown Belkin. Then she asked Jude what Carden has promised her. Jude says he told her she'd be seneschal and she'd be respected, which, like, that is kind of what she wanted. And then after dinner, Nicasia takes her to a cage, compels her to think it's a fancy bed. Jude wakes up sick the next day because her body is used to taking all those poisons. So now she's also kind of going through withdrawals.
Because she's a junkie now.
Kind of. They come for her again after a few days. They want to know about Maddox and her parents, and then they tell her to forget everything that they talked about. Jude is starting to get dehydrated because they don't have non-salt water. And then Belkin comes up to her and asks why Carden stole his crown. She says maybe Carden did it to spite Eldred, or because he was afraid Belkin would murder him next. Later, she finds out that Carden made a deal to get her back. So, Belkin tries to compel her. He says you have to come to Hollow Hall often. And then he tells her you have to get Carden alone and kill him. So, Belkin has officially decided Carden needs to die. The next day, she gets ready to go back to the surface. Carden is waiting on the shore. Maddox is with him. Merqueen says Belkin is officially ambassador to the Undersea, so he's got a political position, so they can't hurt him.
I mean, you can. Who's got the stronger military here? The fish people or the land people?
It's unclear at this point.
Because they should just go all-out war at this point. I don't get why any of them aren't just killing each other.
Okay. Well, that'll come later. Jude goes back to the palace and falls asleep on the floor, and then Taryn wakes her up. Oh, not the palace. Jude goes back to Maddox's house. But still, she falls asleep on the floor. Taryn wakes her up and tells her that Vivian and Oak are back in the mortal world, and she was underwater for a month.
Oh.
Because she completely lost track of time down there.
Yeah, well, you've been living underwater.
Yeah.
Under the sea.
Okay. She wakes up because she hears yelling. Dulcamara from the Court of Termites wants to see her. She says that Cardan gave the Undersea permission to attack the Court of Termites. That must have been part of the bargain that he made. And the Court of Termites is forbidden from retaliating. So it's extra fucked.
So what, they're supposed to sit there and take it?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And she says, your high king did this for you. Those were the terms under which Queen Orla would return you. She says the Court of Termites is collecting their favor officially. She's calling it in. She wants Jude to kill Balkan officially.
Fair.
Yeah. And then she leaves. Jude decides that it's time for her to go. So she jumps from the window because like the people in Maddox's house aren't letting her leave. And she gets to the palace. But there's a guard in front who says that Maddox ordered them not to let her in. So she tries to go in through the Court of Shadows. But they had this big tunnel that went under there. It's collapsed. Someone exploded it from the inside.
Boom.
Yep.
Probably a bomb.
No. It was actually probably the ghost who betrayed them.
Yeah, well, what can you do?
She goes to the garden. This is when she finds Valmorin again, who was the old High King's seneschal. He says he loved Eldred. She asks him to help her get inside. He says that he won't because he promised Eldred he would renounce his humanity and would never choose a mortal over fairy. She's like, you're dumb. And then she leaves. So she goes to Hollow Hell.
What a good that guy is. So
Yeah.
far, he's a completely useless character.
Yeah, he kind of is. She goes to Hollow Hall. She finds Belkin and tells him she can't get into the palace. He says there's going to be a ball tomorrow and that he'll sneak her in, so he gives her a vial of poison. So she decides to stay there and sleep in Cardan's old room because she's got nowhere else to fucking go right now. And then the next day, you can see it better on the map. So I'm not sure if you want to see the map again. But the palace is kind of like inside of a hill. So she decides to climb to the top of the hill and try to get to the palace from like one of the windows at the top. She breaks open a window, goes to Cardan's room, and he's asleep. So she puts her hand over his mouth, tells him that Balkan sent her to kill him, and then he pulls her in bed with him. And then
He's like, because he's into that.
because he's kind of into it. And then he asks, well, why are you doing this if you were sent to kill me? She tells him Maddox is keeping her out of the palace. He says he didn't know that. He tells her he was horrible because his father expected him to be, and he was determined to be worse. So he was awful just because everybody already expected him to be awful. He says he hated himself when she was taken. He imagined her giving him orders when he had to make decisions. And it's like, what would you do? The bomb.
WWJD. Puts a little bracelet on.
Yeah, sure. The bomb and the roach come in with a crossbow pointed at Jude. And they tell Cardan that Jude was sent to kill him. And then they tell her to empty her pockets. And then she's like, "What? But I can't be glamored, guys. It's fine." And so they have Cardan test it, and obviously it doesn't work. So finally they believe her. She tells him how the ghost lured her to the tower. And then this is when we find out that he blew a passage to the Court of Shadows, and nobody knows where he is right now. Jude says, I could kill Belkin, and Cardan says they can't if he's ambassador. But then Jude reminds him that Belkin needs him dead to get a crown from Grimson. And Bon is like, we should just cut off Grimson's hands, and he can't make anything else.
I like how that's the solution. Instead of just killing the guy who's a piece of shit who's trying to kill him, they're like, well, maybe we'll just cut this other guy's hands off.
And then Cardan's like, you guys try to solve all of your problems with murder. He says they'll go to the masquerade tomorrow night and then ask the roach to take Grimson away. And reaffirms he does not want Balkan dead. Mostly because Balkan is like his last living relative. Although I guess technically Oak would be his nephew? Yeah. Anyway.
And his mom. But
Oh, right. But he doesn't know about her at
Yeah.
this point. Cardan tells Jude that he was researching the undersea while she was gone. He says if there's a war between land and sea, there won't be a winner. So their armies are pretty equal, actually. They're both probably just gonna die a bunch.
Okay. Well, I mean, mutually assured destruction. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, kind of.
Just build a wall so they can't get out of the water. Build a great wall. Make them pay for it.
Shut the fuck up.
Beautiful wall.
Stop. Okay. They need to show Merqueen that Carden is not a weak king, because that's what people are starting to think at this point.
You better start killing some people, putting their heads on spikes.
Okay. Jude goes to a market the next day. She sees Mother Merrill, the hag, sitting by a fire. Mother Merrill wanted Carden to marry her or her daughter. Mother Merrill tells her to sit and eat and says she'll give her a dress, and then just hands her a walnut. And she's like, you'll see.
That's a dress. Just put it on. It's a walnut. It'll be fine.
So she goes back to Hollow Hall, opens the walnut, and a big dress comes out of the walnut. So it wasn't just a walnut.
Of course a dress would fall out of a walnut. That makes perfect sense.
But she meets with Belkin and tells him that she's going to kill Carden. They go to the masquerade. She confronts Locke, says she knows that he tried to kill her. And Locke was like, no, I just wanted to scare you.
Yeah, that's all.
Sure. Sure you
I
did.
just shot you through the leg with that arrow. No big deal.
Also, that guy with the axe, he was just trying to scare you.
Yeah. You never been to a haunted house before? It's fine.
Lord Royben comes up to Jude and asks where Carden is and says he'll call in his debt if he has to. And then Jude sees that Lady Asha is there, so somehow Carden has found out that his mom was in the tower. He officially brought her back to court.
Okay.
Carden walks in the room, is falling over and laughing. He looks super drunk. Royben tells Carden that he wants vengeance for the attack. Carden says no. Maddox tells Jude to get Carden to abdicate or else. So she goes up to Carden, and he starts dancing with her. She commands him to stop drinking and pretend to be sober. He says, yes, my sweet villain, my darling god, I will be as sober as a stone carving, just as soon as I can. He kisses her in front of everybody, which is a huge deal.
Because she's a human.
Because she's a human.
She's a lesser than.
Yes. But this is when she realizes that he's not drunk. He's been poisoned. So that's why he's acting stupid. She tells the guard to get water, blankets, and a bucket and put them in her room, announces to the room as a whole that he's been poisoned, and then Belkin compels Jude to empty her pockets because he gave Jude poison that she should still have in her pocket, so he's trying to frame her, basically. But she doesn't because it doesn't work on her.
Yeah.
So Belkin tries again, and he tells her to leave Carden with him, and then Carden says no, and then they leave. They go up to Jude's room. Carden starts to pass out. Jude then slaps him awake.
That's going to turn him on. He's in.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He asks about his mother. Jude says she met her in the tower. She says that, he's pretty sure, your mom is afraid of you. Jude admits she'd like to ask her mom why she married Maddox. Because I have some questions there too, actually. Why'd you marry this green guy?
She's into that.
I guess.
She's got a weird fetish.
Okay.
Big green hog. Got a big old piece on him.
Okay. Okay. Carden admits that he was awful to her in particular because it made him feel powerful. Then he starts throwing up because now all the poison's trying to come out. The bomb comes in with an antidote.
The bomb.
Okay. She says Grimson was already gone when they went to get him. Shows Jude a note from Belkin. And it says he's going to have her the antidote. He'll give it to her if she gives him the crown. And Jude is like, okay, I'm going to go meet with him. Carden orders the bomb to go with her. So they meet in the garden. Belkin asks if she has the crown. Jude says she wants to see the antidote first. She says she's going to drink the poison, then the antidote. If she dies, he won't get the crown. So she opens the vial in her hand. She drinks the whole thing. He comes over. He doesn't want to give her the vial, so he comes over and he pours it in her mouth. And then she doesn't swallow it, though. She spits it back into the empty vial because that empty vial only had water in it. So, and then she throws it to the bomb and tells Belkin, basically, I tricked you because, again, the fairies constantly underestimate the humans.
The ability to lie.
Yeah, it comes in real handy.
It's a thing we're good at.
Yeah, yeah. And then he pulls out a sword and comes at her. Jude has a knife. They start fighting a bunch, and then she eventually stabs him in the neck, and then he dies.
Good.
So, he did. She goes back to her room. Carden is already looking better and says she put her dress back on, and then asks if her father is safe. And Jude is like, what? Jude says she hasn't been there for the last hour. He says the bomb gave him the antidote and left. Then Jude came in saying she had a plan. And then he goes, that was Taryn. So Taryn just tricked him because he was high off his mind. And then he says, your plan was that your father was going to take half the army, but for him to function independently, he needed to be freed of his vows to the crown. So basically, he needed to be given free reign to do whatever the fuck he wanted, which is not good.
Because he's going to go on the warpath because
Yes.
he's the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. And Jude is like, I don't understand why you did that. Taryn didn't have the ability to give you orders. Carden said, like, I agreed because I trust you, Jude. I thought you were doing what was best. She takes Carden back to his room. She's trying to figure out what to do about Balkan because at this point nobody else knows that Balkan is dead. And then a guard says Carden is requesting her presence. Carden tells her he has a proposal. He doesn't want her to command him anymore. He says that Taryn tricked him because he wanted Jude to know that he trusted her and that he didn't need to be commanded him. And he needs to start making his own decisions. He says, you made me the High King, Jude. Let me be the High King. He tells her to marry him. He says if they get married, Jude will be the queen, which means she could give her own orders without having to go through Carden. And then they could just separate after Oak takes the crown. So he's not wrong.
It's a proposal.
It's a proposal. Not the dumbest thing he's ever said.
Yeah.
She asked when they'll get married because she's like, she's convinced that this is kind of like a trick. Like, she's going to take back the vow that she made him give, and then he'll keep pushing off the wedding forever and ever. He says, well, we could get married right now. Because fairy weddings don't require witnesses or anything. So they
you don't have to get a marriage certificate and file paperwork with the government.
Nope. So she agrees, and then they say vows. Carden gives her back the ring he stole from her. And then flowers start blooming all around them because Carden is High King. His power is tied to the land.
So when he gets a boner, plants open up. And
Sure.
Flowers everywhere.
Sure. They fall asleep together. Jude then wakes up because a guard is banging on the door. He says that they found Balkan dead. She never told Carden
She's like,
about
oh,
it.
by the way, you know your brother? I killed him.
And the Merqueen is demanding justice. Carden looks at Jude and says, you've been keeping secrets, wife. They all meet the Merqueen on the shore. Nicasia is sitting on a shark. Thought you meant like that.
Shark, riding a shark?
Riding a shark.
We're going to an aquarium tomorrow, and our daughter is extremely excited to see a shark.
Yep.
Which she's also convinced that a shark is going to bite her on the finger.
Yep.
Real concerned about it. We'll let you know next time whether or not she got bit on the finger by a shark through the glass at the aquarium.
Spoiler alert. No.
Didn't happen.
Nope. Anyway. Merqueen asks where her ambassador is, and Carden is like, well, obviously he's dead.
Here's his body. His head's on a spike, actually, right outside the wall.
Okay. He also will not look at Jude. Merqueen demands that Jude go underwater with them. That's like punishment.
And he's
Justice.
like, actually, that's the queen now.
Oh, no. If she's the one with whom he dueled, I am certain she would win. My brother supposed himself expert with the sword. A great exaggeration of his abilities. But she's mine to punish or not, as I see fit. He tells the Merqueen that there's land under the sea. And then he lifts his hand, and this big-ass island comes out from under the water because he has now fully accepted his position as High King. So he's got control over that kind of stuff now.
Okay.
Nicasia is sitting on the island, and a tree starts growing around her. The Merqueen demands that he let Nicasia go. He says he's king, and he doesn't really like being given orders.
You can go fuck yourself.
And says he'll form a new truce with her. The Merqueen agrees. Carden says Nicasia should be the new ambassador, and he'll, maybe not kill this one.
Maybe.
And then he turns to Jude and asks if she murdered Balkan. Jude says she beat him in a duel. And then he says, I exile Jude Duarte to the mortal world. Until and unless she is pardoned by the crown, let her not step 1 foot in Fairy or forfeit her life. Jude says he can't do that because she's the queen, and then people around her start laughing, and then these knights drag her away. And that's the end of the book.
So he makes his own wife leave?
He exiled his own wife. Yeah, but so because they didn't have to have witnesses or anything, nobody knows that they're married.
So he pulled a fast one on her, essentially.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
Because she's not in control of him anymore.
correct.
But she also doesn't really have any power because nobody knows
That she's queen.
Got it.
Yep. So big plot twist at the end there.
Right. What a surprise, he turns out to be a dickhead.
Yeah.
Because he's from Boston.
Okay. I think you went 10 whole minutes without making a Boston reference.
Well, now we're back.
Here's a question. What do you think I rated this one?
I know that you really liked this series, so you probably gave it a 4 or a 5.
This was my first
was your
5-star book
first
of
five.
the year. Yep.
Okay. That's wicked awesome.
Oh, God. All right.
Boston.
So the next one is The Queen of Nothing.
Okay. Because she's
The
in
Queen of
mortal world
Nothing.
where there's nothing.
Yeah. Yep.
Title checks out.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So, you
It's
know,
just her sitting on a couch in the mortal world. That's the whole book.
she does start the book sitting on a mortal couch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she in the mortal world sitting on a couch with Vivian.
That sounds. I just wrote the whole book.
Okay. You did not actually. There's a bunch of stuff.
Well, I wrote the start of it. I wrote the first half.
Not the first time. Shit. God damn it, Justin. Follow us on Facebook and TikTok.
That's where we're at.
FAE Podcast.
Da bomb.
Okay. We will see you next time.
Bye.